Hey, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ashley. A lot of people like to call me Ash, and I don't usually post videos like this. I was asked 2 weeks ago around there to make a video about my depression story. I was very skeptical about doing this video because I didn't want any of the negative backlash, people claiming that I'm just looking for attention, that I pretend to know more than I do, that I'm acting like a professional when I'm not, and I just want to disclose that that is not what I'm doing at all. And I feel like I have a lot to say that I wish someone would have told me when I was 15 or 16 dealing with these problems. I'm 20 years old now, so I have dealt with depression for 5 years, and I feel like I have a lot of information to offer and a lot of resources that could really help people. But this might be a long video, just stick with me or try to. I'm going to be talking about a lot. So before I jump into anything, I just want to talk about depression itself. Depression is not cool. Do not seek attention for the depression you may or may not have. It does not make you more interesting. I am beyond so tired of seeing things like that. Do not glorify depression because depression is hard. And it is something that you are going to be dealing with for the rest of your life. Whether or not you're far past recovery, you are going to be dealing with it. Do not glorify and romanticize depression. It's not cool. It doesn't make you cool. It doesn't add anything to your personality. It's just something that you have to deal with if you have it. I don't understand where this youth mentality came from, that depression is all of a sudden something that like people just like the feeling of dealing with dark things. And for some reason along the way, teenagers got the idea that depression is something that makes them colorful, and it makes them good writers, and it makes them poetic, and it makes them all of these things that they weren't before. And I just don't understand that, because depression does not make or break a person, and you shouldn't let it make or break you. It is a lot more intense, and it is so much more than just being stuck in a bad mood. Depression gives you a feeling of hopelessness, gives you a feeling of extreme fatigue, of anxiety, of physical pain, of a complete loss of interest in things that you love to do, and things that you enjoy, and things that make you happy. It does not mean that you cannot be happy about things, but it just means that you lose interest or motivation in even doing the things or paying attention to those things that make you happy. I want everyone to understand that symptoms can vary from person to person. No two people have to experience the same symptoms. So it is definitely a lot more than just being sad or mopey or gloomy. And I think a lot of people self-diagnose themselves too early because they are just feeling sad for a little bit of time. But depression these symptoms last 2 weeks or more. It's long-standing daily feelings of sadness. You cannot see a future for yourself. Like I said, a loss of interest in activities that you enjoy. And this sadness and loneliness and depression actually prevents you from living your daily life the way you should. So you have trouble getting out of bed, you have trouble going to school, you have trouble going to work, you have trouble talking to family, sleep too much, sleep too little, you eat too much or eat too little. These are all symptoms of actual depression. It is much more than just being in a bad mood. It's depression if it stops you from living your daily life as what's considered normal. So clinical depression is what I was diagnosed with. Now, let me just back up and try to get into my story. When I was 15, I switched high schools, and my mom moved in with her girlfriend at the time, and I moved in with her. There is where the root of all of my problems started. Situational depression is when a certain thing, event, situation, if you will, is causing your depression. This wasn't the case for me. It was thought that I had situational depression because of the changes in my life and my living situation. So all of this time throughout the rest of high school, I was dealing with anxiety and depression and ADHD, but I'm only going to touch on that like a tiny bit. And I was faced with dealing with that every single day. I was the type of person that thought that bad things couldn't happen to me. I was convinced, which is why it's so weird for me today to see so many teenagers claiming they have depression without an actual diagnosis, because I was terrified of actually having depression. So all these years, I didn't even know that I had depression. I thought the lifestyle that I had was completely normal. I thought that people just lived like that. Started gaining a lot of weight. I gained probably about 30 pounds at the beginning of my senior year of high school. And I also didn't sleep, like, at all. I did not sleep. I started noticing that, and I like didn't understand what was happening to me. If you see a cat walking around, I'm sorry. I stopped dancing, which was something that I loved. I felt like I was not even going to make it to college. For some reason, I couldn't picture my life farther than high school. I had a strong root feeling that I was going to die before I finished high school. I never understood that I actually had a problem with self-harm. I was definitely one of those people that didn't talk about it at all. I never talked about these things in my life with anyone. It's just weird to think about that. Like, I was facing this thing and I had so many people to talk to and so many friends, but I didn't reach out to anyone because I didn't understand that I had a problem. I did have a serious problem with self-harm. It would come and go, but I had a pretty bad problem with self-harm. For my junior and senior year of high school especially, I was harming myself daily and in some way, whether it was cutting myself, ripping out my hair. I would scratch myself a lot, my hands, and I didn't even really know why I was doing it. Like, I would look at things and figure out, like, in my head how I would hurt myself with it. Credit cards or like keys, or I would just look at something and wonder how I could hurt myself with it. Actually reached out for help and was diagnosed with severe clinical depression. Now, clinical depression is exactly what it sounds. It's clinical. There is what's thought to be a chemical imbalance in your brain making you depressed. I had so many friends. I had a great social life. I was in an off and on relationship for a while, and I was still very depressed. I still felt lonely even when I was surrounded by people that I know deep down cared about me. My senior year of high school is when I sought out professional help and realized that I had severe clinical depression. When I first got diagnosed, I was on medication and I felt kind of ashamed. I also want to say before I continue, I'm sorry I'm like jumping around a lot in this video, but I am currently off of my medication. I want to point that out now. I stopped taking my medication in November and I have been off of it ever since, and I don't feel the need to go back on it. This is something that I spoke with my psychiatrist about before I got off my medication, and after that I was still going to therapy weekly. So like I just said, I got off my medication and I started going to therapy, and then now I am no longer going to therapy. If you are currently dealing with depression and you want to get off your medication, make sure it's something that you, if you're a minor, talk to your parents about, and if you're not, talk to your psychiatrist about it. Don't just stop taking it on your own. I don't recommend that at all. Just to be safe, I would recommend talking about it, because from your perspective it might seem like a good idea, but it might actually not be a good idea. So just make sure you're being safe about something like that. I think it's very good to have people in your life that support you and will listen to you and understand, but some people don't have that. So I'm going to let you know about a couple resources. If you are a minor, I would highly suggest talking to your parents about it. Hard as it may be, a lot of the time your parent is just going to want to help you. Seeing a professional is the best thing you can do for yourself. There are so many things that you can do for yourself mentally that can make it so much better that you don't need medication. Medication should be your last option. It was for me, so I just want to tell you about everything else that you can possibly do. First and foremost, there are a lot of websites online that you can use. There's 7 Cups of Tea, like the number 7.com, and this is just like an online counseling. Another one that I personally liked to use a lot, blahTherapy.com. This is one where it's all volunteers and it's completely anonymous. You go on the website and you either pick yourself as a listener or as a, I think it's venter or something. You can go on and decide to listen to people. I like to do that a lot. I'll go on and I'll listen to people talk about their problems and I'll try to help them. Like, it's anybody, but If you're going there for venting, I do want you to be aware that it's literally anyone can jump on and be a listener, so you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know if the person is going to be sincere and genuine and kind, so be sure that you understand that before you go on, because if you're in a really bad state of mind, it could make things worse if this is a really disrespectful person only looking to do no good at all. I haven't experienced it. I did experience one person tell me that I should get over it, but usually there's really helpful people, and I sit on there and help people all the time, so maybe you'll be talking to me and you won't know it. I also want you to know that my inbox is wide open for anybody that needs help, any questions, any concerns. If you just want to vent, you can just vent about your life to me and I will just try to help the best that I can. I also want to take a second to talk about the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The US, I will post the number in the description as well, but 1-800-273-8255. What a lot of people don't understand about this lifeline is that you don't have to be like in the position about to kill yourself to call the lifeline. It's a 24/7 lifeline where volunteers sit and listen. They're trained for crisis situations. Call them about anything that you need to vent about. You don't have to be in a state of panic or depressed even to call them. You can call them for whatever reason. Your conversation is confidential. It's completely anonymous. You can call them and tell them to call a friend of yours if your friend is in trouble and needs someone to talk to. One of my friends has done that for me. Her name is Kelly Burke, and that moment probably saved my life. You can use this for anything. You can call about substance abuse. You can call about sexual identification and orientation problems. You can call them about economic and financial problems to talk about. You can call them about family problems, relationship problems, if you're just feeling sad, if you got a bad grade. You can call them about anything and they will listen and talk to you about it. And if they feel like you need it, they will offer you mental health services locations near you, and they will tell you where to go to get help for your current situation, and it's very, very effective. All you have to do is call and talk. So feel free to call them for whatever reason. Don't be scared. If you just want to talk to someone, all your friends are sleeping, your family is not interested in listening, just call and talk. It's perfectly okay. I've done it, and like I said, a friend has called them and given them my phone number so that they could call me, and they did. So to close off this video, I just want to end with a couple of notes. Don't self-diagnose yourself. I cannot stress this enough, because self-diagnosing yourself, you could mentally put yourself in a state of depression without actually being depressed. You can do a lot of stuff to yourself. If you think you have depression, seek help from a family member or a professional and get a diagnosis. Do not self-diagnose and try to treat yourself for depression if you don't know that you actually have it. If you have been diagnosed with depression, there are some things that I need you to do for me. Do not isolate yourself. I don't care how hard it is for you to get out of bed, for you to be around people. Do not isolate yourself in your bedroom alone every single day. Force yourself to go out in public. Force yourself to be social. I promise you it will mentally make you feel so much better. Friends, family, social experiences are all things that can help you recover so much. Force yourself to do things that you once loved, because I promise you, you're going to start to learn to love them again. Force yourself to play piano. Force yourself to paint or draw or read, or all of these things that you might have enjoyed and you stopped doing because of your depression. Little by little, force yourself to pick up a pen. Force yourself to pick up an instrument. Force yourself to pick up a paintbrush, your computer, your camera, whatever it is that you love to do, keep doing it. Don't lose that. Medication is not the only answer. It has to be your last option, because there's so much you can do for yourself that medication can't do for you. Make sure that if you have severe depression that you're exercising and that you're eating a proper diet. If you have an improper diet, you could feel very sluggish and very tired, and these are things that because of depression you might already be facing. So make sure you're treating your body well, and your mind will start feeling well also. So I guess that's all that I can say for this video. I hope this helped. Be sure to check out the resources that I'm going to leave in the little description part. I'm sorry that this video is as long as it is, but I hope that I helped somehow, and I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to inbox me and I will be sure to answer, or if you just want to vent, like I said, inbox me. But I hope you guys got something out of this video, and I will see you in whatever my next one is. Bye. Oh my god.